How's it going, fellas, and welcome to the channel where I kick back, relax and talk NBA 2K22, and today I want to teach you guys how to rebound like Dennis Rodman in NBA 2K22, because so many people say that rebounding doesn't take skill, and that's just crap. It does take skill, fellas, from positioning to jump timing to boxing out and everything in between. So over the next few minutes I'm going to be teaching you everything that you need to know when it comes to rebounding in NBA 2K22. So if you like that sort of stuff, don't forget to leave a like, hit the subscribe button, and let's get into it. So the first thing I want to talk about when it comes to rebounding is positioning. Positioning is everything when it comes to rebounding, fellas. Being in the right position makes or breaks whether you get the rebound or the box out, because if you get the box out, you're a high chance of getting the rebound. But being in the right position to get the box out does take skill, fellas. So what you want to do, fellas, is you'll always want to stay in between the player and the basket. Unless you're playing some sort of pickup defense or just helping another player, you should always be between the player and the basket no matter what, because if a shot all of a sudden goes up, you're there, you're in position, and you'll get the rebound. But you have to stay in between the player and the basket, fellas, to get any form of positioning. If you don't get positioning, you're never going to win the rebound battle. You're never going to. You've got to have positioning. I can't preach and preach and preach and preach this enough. It really comes down to one thing, fellas, and that's just being in the right position. So the next thing I want to talk about is when you're in the right position, you want to be holding L2 for intensive defense stance, which is like a little crab animation where you go down, you bend your knees a little bit, you put your hands out, and you go into like a little crab stance, if that makes sense. This will bump your opponent when they're trying to cut, fellas. So if they're trying to cut and you're holding L2, you will bump them all the time. They will get around you eventually, but it'll be slow and sluggish, and you'll be able to keep up with them. If you're not holding L2 and they just run straight past you, it's an easy cut every single time. Easy dunk straight to the basket, because normally a big man is too slow to keep up with those faster players, but bumping them and slowing them down by holding L2 when they cut helps a ton, fellas. But holding L2 on defense helps a ton when boxing out, fellas. If you're in the position that I talked about before between the player and the basket, and you're holding L2 and a shot goes up, you're pretty much getting the board every single time, because you're going to be boxing these guys out. If you're holding L2 when a random shot goes up, you're automatically going to be in the box stance, and all you have to do is just look for your big man, see where he's running, just stand in front of him, hold L2, and you will get the rebound 80 to 90% of the time. The only way you won't get the rebound is if there's a bad bounce. That's it, fellas. All your opponent will do is just run into the back of you, and if you know basketball rules, you can't jump. That's over the back foul. So you're gonna get the foul, or not the foul. Well, you will either get the foul or the rebound, one or the other, fellas. It's as simple as that. They can't jump over you if you are boxing them out, fellas. You've got to realize that. So getting in the right position is crucial. So always, always, always be in between the player and the basket, holding L2, fellas. So the next thing I want to talk about is just how to stop worm, fellas. There's so many times when I just get wormed around and it pisses me off. If you don't have a big man, you'll get wormed a lot, fellas. There's not a lot that you can do, but if you are a big man, there's two ways that you can stop worms, or worming around you for rebounds, whatever you want to call it. If you're close and under the ring, you will need the box out badge at least silver, fellas. The higher the better, but silver is working for me. As I said, you can put it higher, but that's where I've gone, and I seem to be worming out most players now. Strength will help a little bit, but the box out badge will help a ton, not getting wormed under the basket. But if you are far away from the basket, you slowly need to walk towards the basket. Just do it slowly. Keep your opponent behind you, but you don't want to go under the ring, fellas. So move slow, because if you're moving forward, they can't worm you. If you're standing back, leaning back on them, that's when they'll worm you. So if you're far from the basket, just slowly move forward, fellas. That's it. But if you're under the ring, it's very hard to move forward, so you need the worm badge, not the worm badge, the box out badge to counter the worm badge. So the last thing I want to talk about when it comes to rebounding is just how to worm. I don't know if this is true, but just when you're up against them, just push forward like into them and then hit R2. I don't know if this works, but it sometimes does for me, so I don't know if it's just a random thing or I'm actually doing something right. Let me know in the comments below, fellas, if you actually know how to worm properly in NBA 2K22. Even you guys can teach me something from these videos, which would help me a ton. But anyway, guys, I've talked and raved long enough. If you do like these short tutorials on how to rebound, how to do certain things in NBA 2K22, don't forget to leave a like, hit the subscribe button, and comment down below what you're struggling to do when it comes to rebounding, or if you have any tips or tricks yourself, leave it all in the comments below. I'd be happy to read them, fellas. But anyway, guys, I've talked and raved long enough. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch yous later.